All right, so yeah, I'll throw it over to you. You're good. You got screen sharing going, so
Yep, way ahead of you.
okay, good stuff.
All right, let's start off tonight with Brian, who sent some pictures of his AT-AT.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sure. So let's see, I enjoyed building the vintage shuttle kit, the shuttle Tidarium, from I think MPC or AMT or whoever released that back in the early 80s. And I decided to do this one. This is the repop of the AT-AT kit. It comes with a couple of snow speeders and those little turret things that he had at Hoth in the Battle of Hoth in the movie. I picked this one over the Bandai kit. The Bandai was also available at the time, and I got this one because it was slightly bigger, and I was really enjoying that whole retro vintage thing. So even though it's an inferior kit, technically speaking, you know, I just happen to like it better aesthetically in a couple of different levels. If you want accuracy, go with the Bandai kit because that's going to be way better. This is just, you know, like an early 80s attempt at replicating things. They weren't too particular. Yeah. So the kit itself has many inaccuracies and the detail is wrong, and some of the engineering is poor, but nothing out of the ordinary for something like this vintage. I knew that going in, so I knew this was going to be just one for the shelf. It wasn't going to be an amazing showpiece or anything, so that was fine. Assembly went fine. The back panel of the body, I might have misaligned it or something. I'm not sure. It didn't really clearly indicate which way to put it or exactly where, if it should have been higher or lower. I just kind of guessed at it, but you know, there's a little shelf thing on the back bottom that looks like it should line up with another piece. I don't know. I never got clear answers on that. But at the end of the day, I don't care too much. Again, one for the shelf, right? And the kit, okay, so let's see. So I'd recommend the kit if, you know, like me, you wanted the nostalgia value and all that. If you go for Bandai, they're going to get a smaller but more accurate kit. This is like 100 scale. Bandai is 144. This kit is an improvement on the original version of it. Like all four legs can move. Apparently the rear legs in the old kit could not move. And you know, those little actuator struts you see at the ankles, those for some reason, you know, they're a problem. Like you can't just glue them into place and expect that mobility. So they're just separate pieces for me. I used actually Tamiya gray primer. I looked at that and kind of went, okay, yeah, that looks pretty decent. And I used a bunch of weathering techniques. I like the Tamiya panel liners and so forth, AK weathering pencils and stuff. And I learned a few things. It was okay. Let's see. Yeah, overall, fairly mediocre project, but I enjoyed doing it. Some parts were left rough, but I skipped some steps. But yeah, recommend it if you like the subject matter, really, and you like that particular vintage. It's a nice big thing on the shelf. And it came out looking half decently. From 6 feet away, it looks impressive, but that's about it.
It has presence. Nice.
Is that the one that comes with the little snow speeders?
Yeah, I mentioned that. It comes with two little snow speeders and two little turrets. The turrets can turn around and stuff.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Brian. I'm going to jump down to Derek, and I'm not sure the right order for this one, Derek, because
okay. Do you have 4 images or 3?
I got 4.
Okay, can you show me the one I don't see on the screen?
Is it this one?
No. No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we can start. We can start at the end. Oh, there, that one.
That one. Okay.
Okay. So what have I got here? I have 2 Lockheed Jetstars standing on a cookie box. They're both, of course, 72 scale. One is done in European 1 lizard camouflage, and the other one is in Southeast Asia camouflage. The one in Southeast Asia, the far one, is the Match 2 kit, and the close one is the Anagrand resin kit. And the Match 2 kit, I hate to say it, is such a dog. Do yourselves a favor, guys. Never, never, never buy a Match 2 Lockheed Jetstar. It took me a couple of weeks to get the Match 2 kit to look like the Anagrand kit in terms of dimensions, etc. Anyway, they're here now, both pretty near completion. And why I have them up on their sides is because I'm dropping in the liquid resin into the windows, and we've had this discussion before. But I like resin for my windows, and it eventually becomes extremely solid. I may need to do it more than once so that I get a a visually level reflecting surface. Anyway, let's go to the next picture.
Which one do you want?
The paper picture, that one.
Yeah.
So these were notes I made to myself as I was going along, references from photographs, books, etc. And I've got the Southeast Asia one here and the Europe one here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but they're essentially all very similar. But the Southeast Asia one was high visibility and the Europe one was low visibility. So everything that was red and yellow with the Southeast Asia was black with the European lizard thing. But essentially they were basically the same. And then I made these other markings for notes to myself as to what to do along the way. Anyway, let's go on. And this one here, I have them both together, the Southeast Asia one and the bottom of the picture with the brown, green, and green camouflage compared to the top one, the European. The camouflage patterns, you may notice, are basically the same, the pattern, but it's just that the colors are different. The de-icing strips are decals. These black squares on top of the engines are exhaust grills, which were photo etched metal brass, which I bent to shape, and then holding my breath, I stuck them on with tiny little bits of glue, hoping that the glue would not come out beyond the edge of the grill. Anyway, that worked. You can see tiny little fuel filler caps in red. And in front, these dark skylight windows are not really windows. I started off with it was either silver or black, I can't remember. Then I coated it with Tamiya transparent green, which looked pretty good. And then I gave it a little black surround with strips of decal. So they almost look like true transparencies, even though they're false transparencies. Let's go to the next picture. So this is the final picture of the European scheme. This is the Anagrand resin Jetstar, which I used as the standard for the two kits. And you can see the camouflage scheme with tiny little trails of stains, etc. Stain around the door, which looked very prominent in the photographs that I saw, and the resin windows. So this was my twin project. Two airplanes which are basically exactly, well, almost exactly the same. They're first cousins done in a camouflage which would compare the Southeast Asia with the European schemes. And I think it was a very entertaining project for me, and it actually took quite some time. So now I have two Lockheed Jetstars.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering how you like the assembly and so forth on the Anagrand kit. I was looking at some of their stuff and kind of going iffy, maybe not. And would you recommend them?
Well, I think the Anagrand is the most accurate one. Out there's only the Anagrand and the Match 2, unless you want to go vac form, which is a lot more work in itself.
Yeah. I don't mean this particular aircraft, just the company and the quality of the product.
They tend to be few parts roughly fitting together. So you got to watch how you go, and you may have to shave down the parts before you put them together rather than after you put them together. So yeah, right. Resin kits are a ballpark of their own.
All right.
Congratulations on that Mach 2 kit. It's the first time I've heard somebody say it's entertaining. And your Mach 2 kit is fabulous. And it does tempt me to build a Mach 2 kit for all the intelligence I have of building good kits. So
yeah, just beware. Dimensionally, it is very challenged. The fuselage is, I think, about 2 millimeters thinner than it should be compared to the Anagrand. So I had to put a piece of plastic in between the two sides of the fuselage, just as an example of one of the things I had to do to make it look like the Anagrand, which I took as the standard.
Yes, apart from that, I'm sure it's just out of the box, right? Like to me.
Yes.
I
wouldn't say that about a Match 2 kit.
I do like the Southeast Asia camouflage. I've always liked that camouflage. It's just I don't build those aircraft, but I do like the camouflage. It's
And
just-
the camouflage border is done with the blue, what's it called?
Blue tack.
Blue tack that you roll into little lines. And I thought, oh, good, this will make a nice fuzzy, hazy camouflage edge. And instead it made an extremely sharp, rigid edge. But I decided, well, it's 72 scale and fuzzy
Yeah.
looks like sharp in 72
still
scale.
looks
So
great.
I
yeah.
let that one pass.
Yeah, looks fine.
And it's
Question about the
calling
blue-
out for you, David. It's just calling out for you. Build me, build me. The Mach 2 kit especially.
Oh yeah, no thanks.
Take
Question
a
about
deep
use of
breath
blue tack.
first.
Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, question about the use of blue tack. Did you have any residue left behind? I've heard silly putty leaves residue or oil, and then blue tack as well, but I don't know.
I would say no.
No? Okay.
99.9% no. I mean, I did notice a little, like a little, maybe grease spot, but
Mhm.
it was so minor that it was not a problem for me at all.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much, Derek. We will move on to Garvin, who just joined in time. Garvin, are you able to present?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can hear
Yep.
you.
Hear you.
Yep.
Oh, great. I'm getting, I'm not sure if this is going to work because my communication is a bit spotty right now. The stuff you have in front of you, that is a Osprey kit that I just got today. Could you go on to the next one, Eric? Yeah, okay. This is more like what we're doing right now. This is a shelf queen that I'm working on right now. It's in, can any of you guys figure out what it is?
Artillery piece, some kind.
Call it 2-pounder.
It's a quarter pounder Vulcan anti-tank gun.
Yes.
Jeez.
And
That's
it's still, well, as you can see, it's still in a very minimal stage.
That's way better. It's this, and then what's this next one?
Do you want to go on to the next one, Eric, or does anybody have any questions?
Did you say quarter pounder like a
Yeah,
burger?
Is
Yeah.
also something that I'm working on right now.
Quarter pounder with cheese.
It's a,
I think he means a
that is
2-pounder.
basically a Apache 64.
So how did you find the Vulcan kit to assemble? I've done one of theirs before. I thought it was good, but
Oh, that one. It's pretty good, but I found that it's really bad on the eyesight because it's a really small one, right? In
yeah,
spite of the fact that it's 135.
it's finicky.
Yes, exactly.
All right, what's this next one, Garvin?
So Eric, are you? This one is a kit that I just got just actually 2 hours before your meeting. It's basically a 144 F Toys Osprey based upon the well, basically their helicopter series.
Right.
So it's also really teeny weeny tiny right now.
Oh, very. Oh, and then there's the instructions for it, I assume. Very cool. Pre-printed.
Exactly.
Neat stuff. Okay. Thank you very much, Garvin.
Of course, like this is one that I haven't worked on yet.
Right. Obviously, yeah. Like you said, it just arrived. So, Mr. John Wong, over to you, sir. Are you muted?
There. Any chance I can do a share screen? I've got more pictures than just the ones you have.
Yeah, why don't you, yeah, you mentioned that in your email, so why don't you share and then come back after, okay?
Yep.
All right. Handing
Okay.
you.
Bear with me here. Hopefully I can select the right window. The first one. Is that coming up?
There we go.
You should see a state-of-the-art
Oh,
level quality kit.
Heller.
It's a Heller Block 152 kit. It's I believe it was first issued in the early 1960s or mid 60s or something like that. This whole project came around when Paul down at Wheels and Wings Hobby said to me, "Hey, let's all do a group build and do the Heller Block 152." And silly me thought, well, why the hell? Why not? I build old kits. So I got into it. Little did I know they were just trying to do a spoof on us Rivet Counters, and they were just going to slap these kits out of the box together.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time, so I get a hold of one of these kits and I look at it, and it's not half bad. The basic shape is right. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second, change the share window. And where is the other one? Facebook. And some of you guys may have seen some of these already.
Is that out of the kit? Out of the box?
That is not out of the kit. I'm just trying to figure out how I can scroll here. Hold on. Here we go. Let me just start with, here we go. Okay. Very basic kit, typical 1960s vintage, nothing on the inside except what appears to be a throne for the pilot, right? And it's see-through right through the landing gear bay, but that's common for the kits of that era. So I start building interior to it. And of course, the French can't paint anything to suit us modelers. You know, they paint their interiors a midnight blue, which means you don't see anything. So here I go, adding details. The good thing is there is good documentation on the internet, so you can build up instrument panels and bits like that. You can see some of the bits just getting built up.
Where did you find the aftermarket for that?
Me. I am the aftermarket.
Okay. Well done.
So there it is. Now this is 72 scale, so that's instrument panels, switch boxes, gizmos, what have you. Hopefully it's visible when you see the real model because it's a dark interior. And I hate it when guys do that. So I don't like doing British 1950s jets because they're black, German late model stuff. RLM 66, now the French stuff. And of course, the French can't do a nice bucket seat. They've got to have some friggin' welded tube frame on the seat. So you can try and build that up in 72. So there's my attempt. It only took me twice. The first one was about 30% too wide, so it just looked awful. So I had to remake it. It's all made, the frame's made out of bent brass wire, and there's a few bits glued to it with C8 and then ties it all together.
You were right about rivet counters.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, there's another view of the cockpit. The seat's more or less in place.
Hey, John,
Yep.
just a quick question. When you're doing the brass wire, do you anneal your wire or no?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It's just whatever commercially is available, K&S stuff. And it bends pretty good. And you know, the few times I had to re-bend it, I didn't snap it or anything. So it's pretty soft stuff to work with.
Beautiful work.
Oh, thank you. It's got some issues. Like I built up the control stick, I put it in, and it's like shit, that's like way over scale, but too bad it's done. So that's the interior. there's the basic airplane assembled. The kit builds up fairly nicely. I ripped off an engine from the old Hasegawa Zero kit. The engine's a Nomron 14N, 14-cylinder engine. And the Hasegawa Zero kits, it's a Sakura 21, which is actually based on a Nomron engine, if I recall. So it looks similar. And at the end of the day, you don't see a lot of the engine, but that doesn't explain why I was stupid enough to put on an ignition harness, because you don't see it. Some of the things with the Heller kit that you have to fix, the flap upper surface and lower surface, the ailerons, and the tail feathers, they give you this seriously exaggerated fabric effect. There's only one issue. These surfaces were metal covered on the Block 152. So out comes the CA, fill it all in, smooth it out. The Heller, the elevators were the wrong shape. It doesn't give you the elevator horn, so I cut the whole thing off and rebuilt it, so you get the proper elevator shape on it. The overall outline of it's good. It's just the surface itself ended too far inboard, so that's not a major fix, but it helps. There's the underside of boxed in the wheel wells, added a few frames. Everything's rescribed. It's nice thing about raised line is you don't have to deal with mistakes on their part. You just scribe in what you want and sand off the raised lines. Again, the underside of the flaps, you can see it's filled in smooth, as is the aileron. There's the kit cowling in place. I just thin out the inside a little bit, and it fits over that Hasegawa engine quite nicely.
Looks like the chuck on my drill.
Yeah. It was a very tightly cowled engine for that time, very streamlined. It does look very nice. I like the look of that airplane. The really deceiving thing on this airplane is it's offset slightly to the left to counteract the torque. And heaven help you, you're trying to align the airplane and you have the cowling in place, because your eyes will get screwed up 10 times out of 10. Good thing most of the way along the build, I didn't have the cowling on it. So, okay, it wasn't messing up with my eyes. Yeah, I thought, okay, well, we can rivet it. For the guys that want to call me a rivet counter, I might as well put the rivets in. So now I didn't put every possible rivet line on there. It's 72nd scale, so you kind of do enough to get the effect, but like every stringer line running span wise, which is totally smothered this thing in rivets, so I didn't do that. I think the major frames I got. There's another view of it. You can see where I screwed up certain riveting. You have to put the primer back on it, sand it smooth, and do it again.
That's a fantastic. Was that from a wheel you used, John?
Yeah, I got a Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, they're quite nice. Very nice. I'm going to quickly scroll through these and.
That's a fantastic job you did.
Oh, thank you. It took quite a while. Let me just go back the other way, because you'll see there's some of the camouflage that's on now. Of course, the kit landing gear they give you is way too long. I think they've done it off an unsprung oleo leg, and it's way too long. I looked at it, didn't like it, so said the hell with it, I'll scratch build the landing gear. Couldn't do well enough alone. So that's a scratch build landing gear built around a brass wire. And I sleeve it with a plastic tube and just add the torque links and weather it up so it hides the flaws. The cannons were replaced, big honking. These were just 20mm cannons. You think they're 37s or something huge, but they're just 20s. Replace that with a little tube and wire, and same thing with the pitot probe right there. You can see slightly the offset in that cowling. It's not real visible, but it's enough to screw you up if you're trying to align things on the airplane.
And that was on purpose?
Yeah, it's to offset the torque, right? Some airplanes have a rudder or fin offset. The Italians on the Mach-E 202s and 200s had one wing longer than the other. These guys offset the thrust line, so.
I've never seen that. It's cool.
Yeah, I looked at the drawings and I was like, oh shit.
It's some of the Spitfires had a slightly different wing angle or something.
That could be. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm a Spitfire expert. Yeah.
Yeah, like a degree or two difference.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. More views in progress there. You're running what this lump is. That's the landing light there. It's just my masking for to blob something on there to hide it. Well, one of the neat things about the kit cowling, these little blisters that presumably fit very tightly over the cylinder heads. There's the kit gives you 12 of those bumps. There should be 13. Crap, yeah, can't get away with that because this cowling hinges on center line at the top, and it has to fit in between two of these little bumps. And of course, if you put the kit cowling on, they got a bump right on center line. It's like you got to take it off, put the right number in there. That's for having scribed the right hinge line on the top of the cowl. If I didn't rescribe that line, you wouldn't know. There's a side view of it. All the markings are painted on except for the little markings. The aircraft name, Irash, was a Polish pilot flying this airplane. He had a name on the airplane. The little emblem on the fin, and there's some little lettering on the rudder that you'll see. Those were decals I printed, but the rest of the big markings were all painted on. A lot of that's because I worry about the decal settling in properly over the rivets. So it's like, well, if I can paint it on, I don't ever have to worry about the decal smothering the rivet lines. So there's a few views of the finished airplane.
Really well done.
Yeah, of course, the cockpit is so dark. It's like I can't even photograph into it to show it. That ring sight is the ring itself is from a photo etch set, and the frame is just scratch built. From the other side. And it's just very colorful camouflage. It's like, it's kind of neat to do because they're all different. Like German aircraft, the French did it all differently because they just let the painters go at it when they painted it.
Is the camouflage freehand airbrushed?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Very
I
good.
thought about masking, and I thought, no, the French were, their feathers were wide enough that I could probably do it. So I tried that. It worked out okay. And that's all I got.
That's a perfect example of how to build a kit out of the box.
Absolutely. You bet. And I got a Mach 2 kit on that list. I just got to find the right one at an affordable price.
Sorry, how long did it take?
This one took a couple of years off and on. You know, you get partway into it and you get sidetracked. You want to build something else. So yeah. And that's on me. But I'm glad it's done. It's I'm happy with it. I was actually quite surprised I could use the kit canopy. I thought I'd have to vac form over it, but the shape of it was pretty decent. It fitted great. Optically, it wasn't that bad. And I said, okay, well, I'll just clean it up, polished it, dipped it in future, and masked and painted, and it worked out okay, and especially with an open canopy. Okay, it's not as critical that you got crystal clear optics.
Exactly right. All right.
So
Thanks.
that's for building a state-of-the-art kit. Yes.
Silk's purse out of a sow's ear, if there ever was one, right? So
State-of-the-art back in 1965.
State of the art at one point. All right. Up next, we have Jonathan, who sent in something modeling related.
Look at that.
Okay, so the guys in Simcoe started, I guess my son has nicknamed it Paint Rack Wars. One of the guys discovered on Amazon a nail polish or a nail paint shelving system that costs $30. But we've now found that since so many people have bought it probably for other things, the price has gone up to 100. So one of the guys built a wooden rack where he drilled little holes to sit all the paint in. Then somebody else did another version. And then I thought, oh, damn it. You know, I'm the retired shop teacher. I've got nowhere to put my paints except in drawers. And that's okay for home roll, but it's not okay for everything else. So I came up with this. And the only problem is it doesn't hold enough paint. So at the moment, I'm doing like a dartboard, the two doors that open up. So I've got, it's 20 inches wide, 40, not quite 48 tall, but the shelves are different sizes for different paints, so they don't fall out when I open the door. But I'm a little nervous about the weight. You can't quite see it, but there's two pieces of aluminum flashing at the top that are screwed into the paint rack. And then they're screwed into the top of the door because you know those hollow doors have no structure.
Yeah.
Except on the top and the bottom. So it's an attempt, but we've had some good laughs about it. And I'm still mucking around with other pieces and things.
Yeah, that's gonna put that's the sheer weight on that is gonna be like pretty incredible.
It is, but it's what is it? Eaves trough aluminum folded over on itself, and it's drilled through the folds, so
there you go.
It'll hold it. But when you open the door, you know there's something heavy on it now.
So I have a question. What's the relief for on the top piece of the frame?
Oh well, okay. I had intended on putting some
Tall spray cans.
No paper documentation stuff. Like some books I've got on paint colors and different charts, and I figured it could stick out of the top, and who cared? And then I realized, no, I don't have enough room for the paint even. So, but I've got enough room to do a lower one at the bottom to put some other things like paint cans or the solvents for thinning some of these things. But my grandchildren were quite happy because they got to help me sort it and put the paints in the different spots.
Is that flow quill paint at the bottom?
It is, and I wish I had more. I wish I had more.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the blue and some stuff is from my Soleil Royale that I started 40 years ago and still haven't finished. So
if you're like me, that's nowhere near enough. And even if you have two doors of that same surface area, you still don't have enough.
Yeah, I know. It's like, but it gets the most of it out.
What type of wood do you use?
Sorry?
That would do about mine.
What it was? You asked a question about what it was?
No, I said that would do about the number of paints I have.
Oh yeah, well I've got at least that many more still, and my Humbrol's pretty good too.
And what type of wood did you use?
I use birch ply, and I hate ironing on the edging, but I ironed on the edging because I hate looking at the edge.
Rivet Counter.
Get this. Oh yeah, the acrylic was the laugh because all of this is scrounged material. Every single piece of this was scrounged except the screws to hold the plastic on. The only problem is for the doors, I had to buy a piece of the plastic, and it's 18 by 30, 24 by 18 or something like that.
Oh God, that's expensive stuff.
Well, when I bought the first sheet, it was $15. It's now $32.
Yeah.
And it's like, you bastards. I mean, okay, the price should go up, but not that much. So it's been a good chuckle, and it's like, okay, I'll have to pay for the piano hinges too, but that'll work.
Supply chain. That's what.
Supply chain. Yeah. But
you published plans?
Sorry.
Are you going to publish
Stuff that's
plans?
been around for years.
Oh, draw your own, you lazy bugger. I'm a shop teacher. My students made their own plans and they made their own projects.
Someplace there's a pile of plexi because everybody's getting rid of their storefront counter plexi somewhere.
You know what? Yes, they're going to start doing it. Some of the weird things that have happened in what we call it supply chains. A friend of mine he's in Australia, but his family's in BC, and he's considering buying a motorhome. And I said, why? And he said, they're real cheap right now because everybody's trying to unload them and the price of gas has gone up. Yeah. And I thought, yeah, we've had more ads on the television for RVs now, but I didn't know it was a big issue. I guess it is. So let's hope we get cheaper plexiglass. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Hey, Jonathan.
Oh, I see how Harvey Bow is
Jonathan,
joining us as well. So
what scale is what scale is that?
Yeah, 1-to-1. I said to Eric, it's my 1-to-1 scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I finally made it.
Oh, good. Nice to hear you, Harvey.
Good.
What did I tell you guys? What did I say? He's going to show up and take over the meeting.
This meeting is adjourned.
I got one quick thing about someone who's asking about putty. The sticky tack the sticky tack poster putty for blue tack.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone through a whole bunch of stuff at our store because we stick it to wallpaper and papers and it leaves a sticky residue. We sell a product called Museum Putty we get from California. It's white and it's the least oily of all the sticky tacks we have found.
Oh.
So residue is like next to nothing because even on a piece of paper or something, when I take it off, there's no oil stain or oil mark left behind.
What's it called, John?
That's nice. Museum Putty.
It's called Museum Putty. Comes in a slightly pinky purpley package. If you go to our website, you can find it, but just Google Museum Putty.
You can always use kids' Play-Doh.
Oh, God.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. Next up was Paul sent in this, but he was unable to join for whatever reason. He said the password never worked for him. So
What? Yeah, I saw that, but I mean, it's fine.
Didn't they change the password?
Yeah, I told him
that's probably not
one. I don't know what the deal was. What did he want to say about this? He said, this is a 1:6 scale resin kit called Vicky from Tweety Head, inspired by the Aurora Monster series, The Victim box art. The sculptor Mike Cusanelli thinks only a dozen were made. He said it came out about 9 years ago.
Oh,
so,
wow.
There you go. This is Vicky.
You sure didn't, did he add a va-va-va-boom on the end there?
So he couldn't get in even with the passcode?
No,
he's probably using last month's code.
I sent him the new one. He has
It's hard, it's hard to say. Maybe, part of me keeps thinking maybe I should just get rid of but then I think, the moment you get rid of the passcode, someone's going to show up and be a jerk and blah, blah, blah.
Right? Yeah, well, it's working.
He's talking about me again. Jesus.
Who let him in?
I see.
He sent the passcode.
I see Paul was actually just able to get in now as we're speaking.
Perfect.
David, I was just reading David Winter's comment, and I was like,
wow.
You know what? That's exactly what almost happened here too, right?
That's amazing. There's like 28 guys on this call. That's great, guys.
Yeah.
Well, now there is.
So thanks, Paul, for joining. I read the blurb that you sent me. So, and any questions that anybody has for Paul, then now he's here to.
Yeah, any questions or all I can see is the screw ups on this kit. I'm sorry.
All right.
Tried my best.
Okay, so Paul, what do you see as being a screw up here? Like, I'm curious, right?
Well, okay, can we go back to on this? Like you can't really see it because of the lighting, but there's a glitch right here. No, right here you can't see the like on the right side of her face there was, and I tried touching it up. It looks a bit like a shadow. Maybe I can get away with it. I don't know.
Oh, you mean the thing that looks like a little bit like blush on her cheek,
It's supposed to be blush to the to the, oh, you can't see it in this. And then I went and touched, can you blow it up?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
fine.
there's a bit of a yeah, around like between the hair and the blush right in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it looks
Yeah.
fine. I think it
Looks
looks
fine to me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
looks great. Looks great.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I touched it up and it looks worse.
I think it's interesting because I look at these figure kits, and regardless of what type of figure the kit is, you know, in this case, this figure is like a nice looking figure. But
Yeah, it's very nice.
I always think how difficult it must be to make it look reasonably lifelike. And I think this one's well done. That's
Yeah.
my opinion. That's just my opinion, right? I'm not a judge.
Thank you
but,
very
know,
much. I tried
you
my
know.
best.
Yeah, it's really nice.
You know, I think it's
And there's
very
only, like,
difficult.
There's not
is this-
like this is a grail kit for a lot of people apparently, and I contacted the sculptor. He thinks there's only, because I lost an arm somehow and he replaced it for free, but he told me he thinks there's only a dozen in the world.
It's pretty incredible, right? Because if I remember, Eric, you were reading Paul's statement, and it was basically it's patterned or it's molded or sculpted after sort of like it looks like the 1950s, 60s slash horror type damsel in distress type pose.
No,
you know
I
what
think
mean?
it's based on the monster scene. It's the victim.
Box art for the monster scenes.
Oh, from Aurora, you mean like the
Yes.
monster?
He didn't
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. That's why she's
Wow.
called Vicky the victim.
Oh boy.
Um,
You know.
There's a
one thing
whole
that
story
happened-
about the monster scene, David. If you poke around, it even made Aurora even got mentioned on Laugh-In back. In the
I
old days.
remember we talked about this with because
won
Max.
the Fickle Finger of Fate award.
Yeah, Max.
As a video.
Yeah, Max is
The
not on.
flying fickle finger of fate.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know Max is not on tonight, right? But I remember Max commenting on the Aurora. Aurora apparently got into some trouble over that whole thing eventually, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah, he did a whole big video of the whole
The
fiasco.
National Organization of Women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth to watch the video. It's quite good.
Gloria Steinem must have got him, right? So.
Yeah, there was a big outcry because of the violent nature of the toys, and you know, you think of your average video game today.
Yeah, true enough. True enough.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Glad you're able to join.
Just one thing, like when I was working on her, I felt a bit like Pygmalion, and one thing I didn't get the innocent look I wanted, and it was just me. Just a couple of brush strokes changed her expression from damsel in distress to some femme fatale responding to a cat call. I mean, it's just the way her eyebrows are, and
Yeah.
I couldn't get an innocent look.
That's it. It's interesting, eh? Because how you paint it and how it's painted can really make that difference, right?
Yeah. And it was just just the way it turned out, you know.
Just call her Daisy Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
look
there
a
you
bit like Catherine Bach, doesn't she?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
That was my first.
What was it with Catherine Bach, like Daisy Duke?
Yes.
I wish someone would make a Barbie Benton resin kit. I'd like that.
You'd have to make it with a Hugh Hefner as well, right? Oh my God. I'm dating myself. So.
Well, who else is going to date you, David?
Yeah, I know. Eh?
Actually,
So there's,
to be honest, when I was I thought I had her done Friday morning, and then a modeler came over and said, "You're 75% done. You got to blush her chest, blush her shoulders." And when I was blushing her chest, I was thinking back to 1975 when I saw a promo for Barbie Benton was going to be on the Mike Douglas show. And that's how I blushed the chest the way Barbie looked on that Mike Douglas show.
Barbie Benton. Oh,
Mike Douglas.
Mike Douglas. There's a reference.
Yeah. Holy cow. Anyway. Sorry, Eric.
So,
I
so
interrupted.
do
Right,
you guys see any problems with it before it goes to a show?
I can't judge figures. I don't judge, period. Harvey, I don't know about what you would think, right?
No, I think it's great. It's fine. Would you do airbrushing for the flesh? Is that how you did it?
Yeah, I airbrushed the flesh, and the shading was with pan pastels.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the eyeshadow, the blue eyeshadow, the cheeks, and
Well, I mean, this is not a reflection on your work, but I do know that the figure shows, they usually have judging criteria that says that if you want to go to like a Chicago or Philadelphia show, in order to get something like a gold, they're looking for like at least 3 layers of color to flesh tones, and they're also looking for shadow effects under the armpits and legs. Yeah, that's the only thing, you know, that I've heard that they look for, right? If you only use like two layers, you might get a bronze. But if you really want to compete and do figures well, add many more layers of flesh tones, whether they be acrylics, oils, or airbrush.
Okay, yeah, I was hoping there's no Guelph show, is there, Harvey?
I believe there is, but we haven't heard any news yet.
Do you know what month it would be even?
November.
Yeah, November.
Oh,
The only shows that sort of, now that you're asking, the only shows that I know of is Rochester, although I don't have the date, it's in September. The AirCAD or whatever, that's the one in Waterloo that the cadets put on. That's in October. And that's about all I've heard.
But you still think Guelph's a go? Okay.
Yeah, I do think Guelph's a go. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But, you know,
What happened to Sword and Brush?
I have no idea about Sword and Brush. We used to sponsor them, and then they stopped asking. I have no idea. It's like, you know, we used to every year we'd sponsor them, and then they stopped asking us, so they went on their own. I'm just saying, factual. Have no idea.
Was that the one in Burlington?
No.
Yeah, they had
It was in Burlington. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Burlington.
Yeah.
I don't think that show's on anymore. I haven't seen anything in the paper about it.
Oh, is that right, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Bill.
All right. Shall we keep moving this along then? We got
Yep.
Ralph up next with
Okay.
something kind of nice
Cool.
for our,
Cool.
You guys know me from Hornet Hobbies. My modeling is all over the place. So as you can see in my background, I do sci-fi. Right now, stuck in the house, I'm doing trains. This is from Australia. That is 187 scale. And basically it's multimedia. There's acrylic, there's oil, there's watercolor pencils, and enamels on there. That engine is probably about 4.5 inches long. So my specialty on these things is the weathering. Same loco. The gentleman that sent me the trains to do, or the engines to do, he sent me photographs of prototype. The prototype had a water bottle on the step there, so I made a water bottle for it. And it was this, yeah. So, and that's fine.
You're sure?
Ralph,
Okay. Yeah,
that's Victorian Railways, right?
Yep. Yep, it is. This here, go ahead.
Sorry, Ralph, I was just gonna ask, like, where would that rail car, or that locomotive, where was that operating?
In Australia.
Okay, sorry,
They have about 4 or 5 different
railways,
gauges of rail in there, so I'm not sure exactly where.
Understood.
Melbourne.
It's in around Queensland, I think.
No, Melbourne.
Okay.
Queensland's in the north. Melbourne's in the south.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Nice.
So the next one, my son had an electric stapler, and it worked 3 times,
Oh,
and then it stopped working. And I thought, well, okay, let me take a look at it, see if I can fix it. Couldn't fix it, but I thought, hey, this would make a great load on a rail car. So I had the depressed center,
yeah.
and I'm using the military cables there off of a tank to hold it down. And that's done with powders and AK stuff. Tried to mimic the Caterpillar color. So it's a fresh load. And then I think the next one is the bottom half of the stapler.
Gorgeous.
That's cool.
And you notice the little dimples on the deck. That's usually when they load these things, they'll take the chains and they'll actually weld them to the deck once they get the load in place.
Jeez.
Cool.
Next. This is 1/160th scale, N scale.
I was gonna say.
And the fellow from Baltimore has given me the task of doing 42 locomotives.
Oh.
Some of them just weathering. More than 3/4 of them were repaint and weather. And these ones here were repaints. And it's, well, as you can see, there's powders on the top, the Bragdon powders. And the Model Flex paint I've been using.
Out of curiosity, Ralph, like what are you using? What are you using to have the powders adhere to the surface?
Well, see, there's a couple of ways that I do it. This here, I haven't used any AK on this, so I'll start off with dull coat. I used that dull coat to do some AK stuff when I was doing a demonstration in Ottawa, and I found the mineral spirits was breaking down the dull coat, making it go all gummy. So since then, I've started to use the Tamiya clears. I'll put a mat down first to hold the powders, and then if I'm doing anything else, like with the stains or whatever from AK or ammo, it's a semi-gloss after that, and then I'll finish it off with dull coat.
Hey Ralph, are those
Yo.
Are those Cato or?
As a matter of fact, they are.
Okay. And they're all chassis, it looks like.
CSX.
Yeah, chassis system. What's the one? I don't recognize the Herald up on the top.
On the last
locomotive.
one,
Yeah.
that's my own. It's
Oh.
It's modeled after Norfolk Southern.
Oh, Norfolk Southern, yeah, except a beaver instead of a horse.
Yes, and
very
it's
clever.
Underneath the body. That's when Canadian Pacific wanted to buy Norfolk Southern.
Yeah.
So somebody came up with that, and I loved it. So I figured I'll get the guys
That's clever.
to make up the decal, and underneath the bottom it says the Beaver Horse of Engineering.
Uh-huh. And Katie couplers on everything?
Well, I'm not sure whether they're KDs.
Oh no, but is that what he wants to do, or not the Rapido stuff?
That's up
That's
to
up
him.
to him. Okay.
They
Sorry,
all have
guys.
this
I'm just
similar-
train nerding, which is one
That's
of my
okay.
other passions.
So these also are N scale. And there's your Calgary Southern again. But the bottom one is just a patch out of a Union Pacific.
Yep.
And the rusting on the roof I did with some, what do you call it? Linoleum deck brown and a toothpick. And that's all the chipping and so on is done with a toothpick. But that's, again, it's gouaches, watercolors, acrylics, oils, it's all there.
Super effective.
So there they are finished.
Nice.
I want to see it. That's excellent.
Here's a closer shot of the dairy sun.
So you get a close up of the cab now with the chipping effect. And the unfortunate part of doing railroad stuff like this, unlike the military, where you're actually building up your colors, I have to start with a color already and add to it instead of take away. Like the chipping and so on it's an additive thing where you guys are taking the paint back off again, your hairspray technique and so on. You can't do that on these locomotives because they're already painted.
Mm-hmm.
So on this one here, also N scale, I added some additional blue on the door panels to get some variation. And then it's AK stains and so on. The trucks and fuel tank, I take everything apart when I do it. It's done with Rust-Oleum camouflage brown, and then with gouaches to get the rust effect.
Yeah, the rust on this one looks really, really realistic. Like in my opinion, right? I mean, I think this one looks really good. I was going to ask Ralph if you have any, if you were able to ever send in like a before and after, because yeah, we know that these ones are obviously, they start off painted up and that type of stuff, right? So
well, like the trucks, for instance, and the railings, the plastic that they're made out of is called Delrin.
Oh,
and that stuff does not take paint. No matter what you do, it will not take paint. And that's why I reverted to the Rust-Oleum. It seems to stick.
Have you figured out how to glue that stuff?
Yeah, with a lot of CA.
No, you can buy, there's a special glue for it. And it's ironic because you can get it from LePage's and another company, but both of them are made in Northern Ireland, which is unusual.
Really?
And basically it's a cyano, but you have to put a precursor on both parts. And then you put the glue on one and then you sandwich it together. And it actually works really well. But it took me ages to find out about it because my granddaughter broke something that was one of my trains and it was made out of that stuff. But it's weird.
I try not to use CA on the railings because if you're going to take them off again to do any painting or whatever,
yeah,
with CA you'll never get them off. So what I use is hobby tack.
Oh, right.
I'll put a dab of hobby tack in the hole, and when the pin of the stanchion goes in, it tends to grab and hold it there.
Yeah. Good.
This was done with AK weathering pencils only. Except for the trucks. There's the truck again. Yeah. And of course, I stole the idea of using the pencil along the edges.
Oh, right, the little bit of graphite shine you get across.
Graphite shine.
Yeah.
This one is also done with AK pencils.
That's HO, isn't it?
Yes, that one's HO. The other ones up until now have been
the dead giveaway is typically the handrails.
Yeah.
You can tell right away if it's N scale because of the handrails, unless you go crazy and substitute hand. Yeah.
The guy that sent me this, he was in New York, and when I got it, the railings were all busted. So you can see the one railing there. It's sort of leaning forward.
So is this a prototype, South Brooklyn? Is this supposed to be like a dock railway? Because there were tons of those. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, that's
South Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's a whole fascinating subject as well. Are all the tiny little railways in and around the docks in New York.
Yep. Now this guy said to me, "I want you to sign it." I said, "I don't sign it unless I sign it on the inside." He says, "Well, I want you to do some graffiti then." And I said, "I don't do graffiti. I don't like graffiti." So I came up with my initials and put it a year
that's your
underneath.
tag. That's your tag. RR.
Yeah.
That's the tag. Hey, Ralph, real quick, you know who Tim Waris?
I do.
Yeah. Do you remember his Central of New Jersey, that dock railway that he was working on?
Yep.
Oh, he never finished it.
Oh, yes,
But
he did.
Oh, he did?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I saw it at a show. And guys, if you ever get a chance, the track work is incredible. Like switches going through switches, triple laps. Oh, it's just incredible. He did finish it.
He did.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll chat offline. We'll chat
Okay.
offline.
This one here is AK pencils as well. It's a steel box car. And this one here is my signature one. This one I did for can't talk. Model Railroad Hobbyist.
Yep.
It's an online magazine. And this was done for the owner of the magazine, Joe Fugate.
Joe Fugate, yeah. Lovely Bloody Nose. That's a Bloody Nose scheme, right?
Yeah, it is. His wife, about 2 years after I did it for him, his wife knocked it off the display module at one of the shows and turned it into a kit.
Oh.
So I have the pictures. I can freely use them without any fear of retribution or whatever. He doesn't have the locomotive anymore. And those pictures were taken on my back fence. I have a hydro field behind me.
Nice.
But this again, it's all the AK, along with I didn't use AK pencils there because they weren't out yet. But I was using what the heck was it called? DeWert watercolor pencils, and the AK and enamels and oils and acrylics. The whole fade was done with probably about a 10% wash of Tamiya white and 90% alcohol, because that was a dark gray to start with.
There you go. Yeah, super convincing photos too. That's really impressive. All right. All right. Thank you, Ralph.
You're welcome.
Moving on.
Nice, beautiful stuff, Ralph.
Thank you.
Again, you're still here. Oh, thanks. There you are. Yeah.
So this is my what if. The scenario is essentially, what if Japan surrendered before the Americans dropped the bomb? And so in my scenario here, I have the Japanese teaming up with the Americans to fight off the Russians. So, obviously it's a Shinden, but I've made some enhancements to it, including F-16 engine in the back. But essentially it's what the original concept was to eventually put an engine in. So I threw an engine in here. I put in a dorsal fin. The canard wings in the front have been extended forward. What else did I do? The canopy, the bubble canopy, actually, the actual Shinden didn't have a bubble canopy, but what I've done is I've taken a P-47 and I've reversed it. Front to back. Actually, the next shot, Eric.
This one?
Yeah, so it's actually, that's a P-47 cockpit backwards.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
So in my scenario, I also have, Japanese are running out of pilots, and so they start employing female pilots. So there's a lady samurai. Essentially, the head is was ICM, and the body is Tamiya, and that's she has a sword from the Tamiya kit. Go to the next slide, Eric. So I just obviously there were no boarding ladders, so I just scratch built that boarding ladder, and you can actually see the bubble canopy there.
10 kills already. Wow.
Yeah, 10 Russian kills. Actually go back one, Eric, the previous one with just above her head, you can see some R4M rockets. Those are rockets that I kit bashed from ME262 kit, a monogram ME262. And I think that was the only there's only ME262 kit that had those rockets.
That's very cool. So again, nice.
So
and then
in your scenario,
yeah,
the Russians aren't the American allies, or is this immediately after the war? And
no, in my scenario, well, we knew that the Russians were at the doorstep anyway, and Russians were ready to invade Japan, right? But the Americans, they didn't want the Russians to invade Japan because they essentially Russians wanted. I mean, the Americans wanted, to win the battle over the Japanese. So in my scenario, they didn't drop the bomb. They joined forces to fight off the Russians who were essentially on the doorstep.
Mm.
So I went to the Nationals this year, a couple of weeks ago, and I got a third place for it.
Nice.
Nice.
Good
Well
man.
done. Well done.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent.
You placed
What
the mats
category?
there.
I
So
joined.
again,
Did you guys talk about the Steve? I thought it was Steve. Steve, did you guys talk about the Nationals? Oh,
No, Mark actually, Mark has a bunch of photos from the Nationals. Steve, I don't think Steve's mentioned the Nationals yet, right? And I know since you're the last one, again, before we get to like Glenn and Mark, I'm sure the Nationals will be coming up. I didn't even know you went.
Yeah.
I should have, maybe I should have known, right? But
I
regardless,
didn't know you went either, Suga.
Congratulations
Yeah.
on the third place.
Was it your first Nats again?
it was my second, but
Second.
I hadn't gone in a long time.
Nice.
What category was this?
Yeah.
It was hypothetical kit bash.
Nice.
Glad to see
what came
I'm
in
not the
first and
only one.
second? What came in first? I'm curious to know what came in.
I didn't see the other ones that were. That was up.
Hey, Mark, does the IPMS US have all winners on their website?
Yeah, actually, if you go to the website, you can see all the winners.
And the printed journal, you're an IPMS member US, they'll send you out in a few months pictures of all the winners.
Nice.
Yeah, I know
Nice.
Steve Husted cleaned up pretty well, did he
Yeah,
not?
he did. He did very well, Steve. I think Steve took best in show, best aircraft, people's choice, I think.
Yep, something like
wow.
that.
Yeah, which is the only time that's ever done before was George Lee. So
Yeah.
by the way, guys, it's next year's Texas, but the year after is Madison, Wisconsin. That's close.
Oh, Wisconsin would be good.
That's
The dairy state.
Yeah. That's close.
It's about 2 hours north of Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Stop
going,
in
Mark.
Chicago.
We're going, Mark.
Stop in Chicago, listen to some blues, get some barbecue.
Yeah.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Hit
Yeah,
the
they
science, hit
they
the
did
Science
the
and Technology Museum.
yeah the U-boats there. They had the figure show in Chicago a few years ago. It was fantastic, right on the lakefront.
Actually, I got the flyer for this year's Chicago show.
Nice, very good.
October.
Is that Little Ditka or Big Ditka?
Oh, it's on October. What's the date again?
October 22nd.
Yeah, if you guys ever go, that's a show to go to get awe-inspired by figure painters. There is an ordnance category there, though.
There was a fair bit of coverage on YouTube of Eindhoven, the World Model Expo.
Well, yeah.
Some amazing stuff there too.
Yeah.
This is Glenn's though, right now.
Glenn's up?
Yep, over to Glenn.
It is because I remember Glenn was working on this, or is this a new one, Glenn?
Where do you want me to pick up here?
That's a brand new one.
Oh, okay.
This is one of the first kits in a long time that I'm actually building towards a deadline for the end of October. We have at Vintage Wings of Canada, they're changing the model display to a Battle of the Atlantic theme. And this kit just hit the shelves the other day. And I thought, well, what a great thing to have in there. It'll have a lot of visual impact. It'll show the other side of the conflict. And I had built a 72nd scale one a long time ago, which is a few little resin pieces and a few small pieces of photo etch, and that was it. Whereas this is quite an impressive kit. So I just
might I suggest, Glenn, that you do not scratch build it as you might normally do and throw the kit. You won't make your deadline, okay, pal?
No guarantees, man. No guarantees. I'm looking for things to try to improve on, and I only found like one thing, and that was it. And that was the first thing that I did. Just
What's
a couple of pulleys and stuff.
What's with the bat saw? That looks kind of
Yeah,
cool.
no kidding. I got that from BNA Model World in Australia. ASK, they have a whole bunch of different types of razor saws, not just straight. And I knew I was going to be scribing a trough through curved objects, so I picked this thing up.
Cool.
Right, that's how you made your pulley. Then I can see your.
Yep.
Put the rim in it. Very cool. And then the other one was your buzz bomb.
Yeah, I don't think I've made this particular meeting for a couple of months. So this is the continuation of the Easter Blitz build, which obviously never got finished in Easter. So it's morphed into a diorama with Buddy painting up a wing to put on. The workshop is all completed with a backdrop of stone wall. Everything has been glued in place. Yeah,
that camo, that
a lot of
paint,
pictures.
that paint job is that looks really good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I got figures in here since I got over my my fear of figures. I'm starting to do one more on this, and it's Buddy spray painting a wing to put on this on the V1.
Very cool.
Hey, Glenn, why do you bother buying a kit? Why don't you just get a Mach 2 kit and convert it?
I'll see your Mach 2 kit and I'll raise you a micromer.
Oh, you guys.
So yeah, I found a 32nd scale German Luftwaffe figure from Black Dog, and found John Smith Model Bow has a bunch of different 32nd scale heads. So, you know, I'm making a Franken figure. So this is Frankie with different hands. Scratch built a spray gun because the one that was in a 35th scale kit just wasn't large enough. So I built that thing by scratch. And found out that there's a worldwide company, I forget what it's called, DeVille or something like that. DeVille Bis, founded in 1918. So these things were used all over the world.
DeVille Bis, the air compressors.
Yeah, air compressors and spray guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do air compressors too.
Yeah, I took a picture of one of these, found it on the internet, a vintage one from, you know, the 1930s, 1940s. And thought, oh, okay, figure out the rough size and just scratch build it according to the picture. And turned out pretty well.
I still have one of those in the garage.
Wow.
Wow.
Probably last you the rest of your lifetime too. So the figure is finished. I'm just working on putting some hair on him and then gluing him to the base, mocking it up with the airbrush in his hand, air compressor, and so on. And then somebody mentioned to me, well, why is he spray painting a brand new wing? And I thought, well, because the other one got broken. Well, where is it? Okay, so I threw something together today. And I don't know, maybe they were drunk when they were loading this on the launcher and it fell off and broke the wing. I don't know. Either way, I thought it would just add a little bit of visual interest to it.
Nice. Gotta say, he's not gonna last too long spray painting without a mask.
Mask on.
Yeah,
they didn't have such things in those days.
He's about 10 feet away from the actual V1, so I thought, man, hope it doesn't gum up all the sophisticated electronics that are in that thing.
Hey, Glenn, don't forget, I got a micromirror sub for you, pal.
That's okay.
well,
yeah, I know the one. I know the one that you're
I have
talking
it for
about,
you.
and that one, yes, I will do it.
We will trade as we planned. And by the way, you know, my apologies. I can never make your meetings just on my class nights, but thank you for the hospitality of always inviting me. Great work.
All right. Well, then, thank you guys. That's it for me then. Everything I've been sent. Now, I know during the discussions here, Derek mentioned that he had a what was the, or sorry, David mentioned he had the new border models 1/32 scale Langcaster that people seemed interested in.
Ooh,
taking a look at.
Yeah, so sorry, Eric, I'm interrupting.
No, go ahead.
But I just threw out there, I got one last week. I don't know if anybody is a member on the Facebook group 1/32 scale Lancasters. It's the name says it all. But I have one here behind me. I don't know if people have seen it yet.
Bring it out.
If you want,
yeah,
I can show you the sprues, and you need some specialized mining equipment to get all the way through the box.
Bring it out.
This is my chair.
I hope he has a fish
my
in
God.
lands.
Holy crap. Okay, this is, let me guess. This is the part of the show where David's showing off how big
it is.
Yeah.
Are you wearing a back brace?
Sorry?
Are you wearing a back brace?
Did you bend to the knees when you picked that up?
So hopefully I'm gonna pull it back so you can see, and I'll hold the. I got a crap camera. I wasn't
taking a chance. He's putting
Hey,
it on the
David,
chair.
you got to do a Canadian one of that one, eh?
Well, so for those of you that know me, Steve Schwab is down in the corner. He probably recognizes me if nobody else. I do generally Canadian stuff, and so instead of looking at my belly, you can see my face now. Years ago, when I ran a decal manufacturing company, I did some decals for the Hong Kong models Lanc. So it's funny that the first thing I looked at when I got this was the decals, and I'll get to those in a second because, wow. This is the box. I ordered this from AliExpress. It took about 15 days to get to me. I know that some folks have placed pre-orders at BC Shaver and other places like that out west. I don't know of any Ontario shops that have even offered the pre-orders for this. But as far as I'm aware, none of the shops in Canada have this kit yet. So the only way that I was able to get it was to go through AliExpress. And it took about 15 days. It arrived in a box slightly larger than this, looked like this much bigger. It was wrapped in a plastic garbage bag. Inside was a cardboard box that had foam wrapped around this. So this was actually pretty well packaged, and there's one little mark on the box here that you can sort of see, maybe, I don't know. There was nothing on the shipping box that corresponds to this damage. So I think this happened when it was shoved into the shipping box. But
Packer dropped it on the floor.
Unbuildable.
Yeah,
it's
no,
unbuildable. Send it to me.
Yeah. So I see the 32nd scale Lancaster group on Facebook. It's a lot of woe is me. My kit is a disaster because it was crushed in shipping or other problems. Border models apparently didn't expect people from North America to purchase it from overseas. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know the mindset behind this packaging. One of the things that you'll notice, or at least I'll try to make it notice, is this lid doesn't go all the way to the bottom.
Wow.
So the lid is being supported by the sprues in the box.
Really?
Yes. So
Holy jam-packed.
So if I take this off.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
You can see that those screws on the end, they're holding up the lid.
Oh my God.
The top of the box is down on the screws. So even if you go all the way around. I don't know if you can see those, but these are sprues here. So they're supporting the lid.
Wow.
So I don't understand the packaging decision there to have a box lid that was about that much too short. But anyway,
it's all about the cost.
It was obviously planned. They printed the bottom, which is short of the lid.
And
exactly what Ralph said. Yeah.
This is a really, really nice packaging because it's a nice textured, almost satin paper with gold leaf printing. I mean, it's really nice. But why?
Those sprues are structural sprues. They probably got a steel wire spine inside them. So don't try and cut it with your screw cutters. You'll destroy them.
Get your metal detector
out. Anyway, it was a strange bit of packaging to use the model itself as support for the box. But anyway, that's what that is. These decals, oops, as I spill stuff all over the floor.
There is a Canadian in there, right? QBV isn't that not a Canadian?
This is the Phantom of the Roar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think the Canadian one is the Roar Express.
Ah, okay.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody else might know better, but I don't remember which one of these is the Canadian, if there is even a Canadian. I can look in the instructions. But one of the things with these decals, so these are not Cartograph. These are not Tamiya. These are not even Revell or Trumpeter. These are not screen printed decals. They're digital print decals. And if you look closely, you can see that the colors are made by halftone. So it's not spot color screen printed decals. And I think one of the reasons they did that is to get this fancy nose art.
Yes.
So to try and get the halftone of this version.
Yeah, and that is 424 Squadron, David. So
Okay.
that's Tiger Squadron RCAF.
Okay, well there you go. Now we know. But in order to achieve this effect, they digitally half-toned the entire set of decals. So these roundels are half-tone red and blue. They're also the wrong red and blue. These are post-war colors, not the dull blue, dull red that you should be getting on a Lancaster. They're super, 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 super thin to the point where they sort of fall apart when they're in water. There's spelling mistakes all over the place.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you can't. I see it because I'm very persnickety about decals, and I go over them with a fine-tooth comb. But there are spelling errors. Yeah. So if you look at the engineering panel, they've spelled fuel F-U-L-E.
Oh.
Which the irony is the word fuel is spelled correctly about an inch away from it. So they do know how to spell the word, just not there.
How much is this going to cost again?
This cost me $750, including shipping. That was the whole all in.
Right.
If you get it from a hobby store here, I think BC Shaver is selling it for $1,100. Sunward Hobbies has it for $1,100. So yeah, it's not cheap, and they couldn't spell the word fuel right. Also, the dinghy should only ever be released in emerencies. So yeah. So yeah, anyway, the decals. Now this kit is also supposed to come with brass barrels, and it sort of does, but only the interior bits. I don't know if you can see those, but they don't include the perforated outers for the barrels. those are plastic. So you only get the brass muzzle. So I went out and I got those ones, which I recommend anyway, because it has everything. So yeah. I also, the only photo etch is the seat belts. And I just got out and I purchased the HWH fabric ones, because these are not very good. And I'm surprised that a kit of this complexity and size, this is the only photo etched. I mean, no radiators or anything. So that's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I got the HDH ones. The instructions, these are the instructions. The illustrations in the instructions, totally fine. There's nothing terribly wrong with the illustrations. There are some color photographs in the back, so you can sort of, I don't know if my camera's good enough to show those, but they're kind of, well, they're color photographs of the inside of a model that somebody's built. But the reality is that, so here's the 2 paint schemes that come with it. And this is the only place in the entire set of the instructions that have paint callouts. So for example, if you are doing the cockpit and you're assembling this seat, you'll notice that there are no paint callouts. So you have to do your own, you have to do all of your own reference materials to find out the fact that the trim wheel beside the pilot seat should be red. I mean, it just is, but they don't tell you that. There's nothing in here that tell you what should be red, what should be green, yellow, anything. There are no paint callouts. And what's interesting is they worked with, was it MIG they worked with? The color references are from ammo. So they work with ammo to get the colors for the outside, but none of the construction information has any paint callouts. So, I mean, even the bombs, for example, they're obviously going to be olive drab, but if you don't know that, this doesn't tell you.
Yeah. Imagine if this kit was actually put out by Wingnut Wings, and what the experience there would be like instead.
Yeah, from what I don't know the whole story around Border and Wingnut and how they got this, and there's all sorts of rumors and conjecture and conspiracy theories that rival JFK. It's ridiculous. But I do know that these instructions came after the tooling was acquired and the prototypes were manufactured.
Well, yeah. I mean, Wingnut had great instructions, right?
Yeah, I never saw them, but I'm assuming Wingnut, you know, I'm assuming they were pretty good. Same with the decals. I know that these came after the fact because I'm pretty sure that Peter Jackson can spell the word fuel. So, you know, he's pretty persnickety when it comes to getting the details right. So he would not have made these sorts of mistakes. All the clear comes in a separate box. Well, okay, caveat. Border has changed their packaging about halfway through their initial production run. So some boxes, the clear is just sitting in here, like in with all the other sprues, and some are in a separate box. So I got mine in a separate box. And then each clear is in its own little foam envelope-y thing. Now, this is probably the biggest, these clear sprues are probably the biggest bone of contention for everybody that sees this kit, because they're not properly formed in the tooling. There are all sorts of little issues. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, I'll see if I can get up close. That is the antenna blister on the rear canopy. And I don't know if you can see that or not. But right in the middle of that rear blister is a mold line that you actually have to like grind away. It almost feels like they've molded in a rib and rivets and framework in the middle of that blister, when in fact it should be just a blister. There shouldn't be anything in there. But that needs to come out. I'm going to just treat it like a seam line you'd get in a modern jet canopy. Same sort of thing, but it's on the inside, which is weird. And also for what is essentially $1,000 kit, you shouldn't have that. But the bigger issue is, and this will never show up on my crappy little camera here, there are hairline lines in all of the clear pieces. And it's because the clear material was injected into the tooling, and when it touched each other, it didn't properly mix. Wow. And so you get these perfectly thin hairlines in all of the clear pieces. So if you look at this if you look at the forward blister for the bomb aimer, and I know you can't see it, I can see it, but right across here, right diagonally across, there's a perfect hairline, almost a seam that's inside of the canopy. It's not something you can sand away or dip in future.
Yeah.
It's just there.
I wonder if someone's going to do an aftermarket because of that. I wonder.
Well, there's a couple of things. Once it's on the model, I don't know if you can see that, maybe that might show it off. That this heads up piece there might show
it would be better to put something black behind it.
Do I have anything black? Yeah.
Or dark anyway.
While you're looking that up, I see. Here's the bone of contention when it comes to judging, eh? If you build that model with those little hairlines in the canopy and you take that to the IPMS Nats, I'll bet you that it'll get kicked out. And that's a flaw in the judging. I'll just say it, right?
Yes, and that is actually, you're not the first one to bring that up. That's already been brought up.
Yeah. The judging needs to change in certain areas.
Well, I mean, I asked the question about 3D printed parts and adding 3D accessories and things to dioramas, and the answer I got was that 3D printed parts couldn't be in something that was judged.
Yeah, right. There's a controversy. That's for another topic of discussion.
That's not just IPMS. National Model Railroad does exactly the same thing.
That's right, eh?
Yeah.
3D parts, if you didn't design it and print it yourself and have proof of it, you cannot incorporate it in one of your judged models.
I actually do design and print my own stuff. I have a bomb trolley in one of my mosquito builds, and I designed it and printed it. But I was told I still couldn't enter it. Anyway,
we won't talk about
completely whacked.
Yeah, we won't talk about it now. But I can tell you that, and I won't name them. There's a couple of master modelers that think it's bullshit, and it's usually the guys that, I'll say it, it's usually the guys that don't win the top awards and don't do all that stuff are the ones that make the rules. But the guys that know their shit, the guys that enter, the guys that win the master trophy, they think it's stupid. I've talked to quite a few of them already. So, well, that's another discussion.
So that's my little bomb trolley that I 3D designed and printed.
Nice.
And
nice.
It's free. It's free. I mean, you just go, if you want it, just go to Callouts 3 and download it and print it. I mean, I'm not charging for it. So if you need a bomb trolley,
that's cool.
It's free. But yes, I was told that there was no way that I could enter a contest with that there. Anyway, that's a sidebar.
That's a sidebar, yeah.
The bigger issue is that, yes, if you were going to enter this out of box,
right,
into a contest, this clear would, you'd lose a lot of points.
You would.
For the problems in the clear. So I'm considering vacuum forming replacements.
Probably best.
I have a little vacuum former that would fit.
Probably the best, David.
Yeah. So that is the biggest bone of contention right now, is the clear is damaged. Border has said that they are willing to send out replacements if you can prove that you purchased the kit from an authorized dealer.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. But
I don't think they do.
No.
Yeah, that's the idea.
If you go to any of the 32nd scale, well, the big one is 32nd scale Langcaster assembly line. That's really the focus. There's a lot of people posting photos of the problems with the clear plastic. And it's once these parts are on the model and there's something behind it, I kind of suspect that those lines are so tiny and so fine that they just disappear. But if you go looking for them, you'll see them. So, you know, the casual observer looking at the kit on a table, walking through a show, they're probably never going to see the little tiny fine lines. But certainly the judge with the microscope, he's going to find them.
Yeah. Plus, we modelers do suffer from OCD at times, and we know it's there, so it bothers us. Yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to say, now that you've told me, now I'm going to look for it. And I'm not an aircraft modeler.
Yeah.
This is the other part. This is the other sprue that people sometimes complain about. These are the Canopy Frames. Some of them are getting squashed in shipment because they sit on top of the box, like they're the very first thing on top of the box, and it's getting squashed, and it's breaking the Canopy Frames. Mine are fine, so I guess you roll some dice there. And they're, because it's such a thin piece of plastic, even if they were a little bit bent, put it in some hot water, it'll straighten right out. I mean, it's a super simple fix, so I don't get too fussed about that. But the amount of detail on, this is one of the radio sets. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if my camera will focus in that much. In fact, I'll take it out of plastic so you can see. It is, the engines themselves are award-winning models. The Merlins themselves, I was gobsmacked when I saw the detail on those Merlins. This is one of the radios. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I mean, it's just spectacular. The amount of detail and the tooling on this. I mean, I know that there's slide tooling where they can put details on the sides now, and it all comes apart in multiple steps. But they've gone above and beyond that for this. I mean, there are rivets. I can't stress enough the amount of detail that is on this plastic. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. One of the things that really stands out with this kit is the stress skin. If you look at the Hong Kong Lancaster, it's a perfectly glass smooth surface. This has a really super subtle stress skin effect.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, when you compare this fuselage to the HK Models one, the HK Model one almost looks like a toy. It's so perfectly smooth and the rivets are so perfect. This one actually shows imperfections without it looking like it's imperfect, if that makes any sense whatsoever. They've done I know this is a wing nut tooling or wing nut CAD model, but whoever did the stress skin design, they did a fantastic job, because this actually looks like a piece of sheet metal, a piece of sheet aluminum riveted onto a frame. It's got just enough used look to it to make it look like the real thing. So this is really, I think, the big difference. This and the Merlins are the two big things that separate this from the Hong Kong Langcaster. Hong Kong Langcaster builds up really nice. I mean, it's gorgeous when it's finished. But this really does blow it away in terms of internal detail. And I mean, one of the trim wheels in the cockpit on the Lanc is connected with almost like a bicycle chain through another gearing system. This has the individual chain links.
What?
Yeah, the chain link is separate from the sprocket. It's not just
damn.
Yeah, there's a gabillion parts, and this is all. I'll see if I can find the Merlins. Like I said, you need kind of specialized equipment to get to the bottom of this thing. Oh, well, this is the, I won't take this out of the package, but you can see, maybe you can, all of the internal wiring, like every wire, every hose, every cable is molded into the plastic. Not just in areas you can see, the whole thing, the entire interior. Under the main wing spar, there's details. I mean, when you put the fuselage together, it's invisible. You'll never see it. It's impossible, but it's there, and you will know it. Nobody else will, but you'll know it's there. Yeah, I mean, this is the bottom rear of the Ford cockpit, and there's all sorts of cable detail there, and rivets and little drawers and stuff. You'll never actually ever see that. One of the things about the Hong Kong Langcaster is that the Merlins are undersized by about 15%. They're way too small. And I know why they did that. It's because the plastic cowlings that have to fit over top are too thick. That isn't the case here. The plastic cowlings that go over the top of these Merlins are so paper thin, you can almost see through them. So they were able to make the Merlins the correct scale size. And I'm trying to find, I mean, this is the wiring harness, has all the electrical wiring system actually into it, so you don't need to run solder wire to add all your wiring. There's the turbocharger, has a gabillion little rivets and bolts, and all the little actuators are there. There are 4 of these screws, and this is one engine. This makes this entire sprue has 3 dozen parts on it, and it's one engine. It's mind-boggling the amount of plastic that's in this. I mean, we're having an oil crisis, and most of the reason is right here in this box. So anyway, I don't know how many of you folks build 32nd scale Lancasters. I know you kind of have to add an addition to your house once you have one finished, but this is the latest from Border Wingnut, and hopefully somebody found this interesting. It's pretty expensive, but this will take you for me, this would take a year. This is a year of work to put this together. So anyway, I don't know if anybody found that interesting, but there it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely. Thank you.
So Dave, it sounds like the design by Wingnut was fantastic, and the execution by Border was not quite excellent.
But yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. It's and they, I think I've never built another border models. In fact, to be honest, I'd never actually even heard of the company before they took over the Langcaster. I mean, I just never had. So I don't know what the quality of their other kits is like.
I saw a couple of reviews of products they had a while back, and it was not great.
Right.
You know, but I don't have any information beyond that. Maybe somebody else has done one of their products.
Yeah, I like I said, I've never heard of them until they took over the Wingnut. In fact, I didn't even know they'd taken over the Langcaster until there was all this controversy about them taking it over. And I was reading this post and people were ranting about how Wingnut they'd stolen from Wingnut. And I was like, really, who are these guys and what has happened? But anyway, I finally got my hands on one, and other than the clear, which is disappointing, the decals I don't care about. I mean, round decals that big on a 32nd scale Langcaster, you should be painting them anyway. But the little tiny stencils and things on inside the cockpit on the engineering panel that's tucked away where you can't see it, that's not too big of a deal for me. I mean, I can, as much as I am persnickety for decals, I can live with those problems. But it's the clear, I think, is what people are going to have the most issue with. Those, I mean, Hong Kong's clear is perfectly clear. It's crystal. So I don't know why these guys couldn't do it. But anyway, yeah, the flaws with the clear are going to be problems.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
Was it? Good.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that was a good report.
I
Thank
have
you.
mine on the way at some point because my father flew in Lancs.
Right.
So I'm all rapidly writing down all the information that that you shared, what to look out for, and the little accessories that you got. So thank you.
So these are what I used for. I used the same set for my Hong Kong Lanc.
Yeah.
And you know, they're gun barrels, they'll fit on anything.
Yeah.
For the Sutton harness, I just grabbed a Spitfire Sutton harness. It's the same harness, so it'll work just fine. And I have the AirScale panel IP. So
nice.
The reality is that the plastic for the instrument panels and the engineering panels and the radios and all that stuff in this kit are really, really, really fantastic. The problem is that the decals for the gauges and dials and switches and everything that are supposed to go onto them are so crap that you've wasted this beautiful opportunity for this wonderful tooling and panel that you've cast in plastic. You can't finish it because you don't have the right decals. So yeah.
Somebody will have done aftermarket decal sheets for this.
They have.
Yeah. Sorry, I know that Belcher has a set of aftermarket decals, but it's all exterior stuff. There's nothing for interior. So, which is fine. I mean, most people are going to want the exterior markings anyway. But if you want a proper engineering panel without spelling mistakes and an instrument panel where you can see the gauges, and there's so much clear canopy over the top, and that instrument panel is so visible in a Langcaster, it has to be done where you, as best you can. I wouldn't use the decals in this kit for that. It's too visible of a part of the aircraft. So, but that's just me. Others may want to just build it out of the box and be happy with it. I can't do that.
Welcome to the club.
Sorry, John Wong has dropped off the call, so just so, yeah, you can't, like, it's hard to, yeah, when you start seeing like these little, like Harvey said earlier, I think a lot of people or a lot of us are a little bit OCD about stuff like that. Because if you know it's there, if you know it's there, you're going to get frustrated by it, and you don't want it to be seen, or whatever the case is. Like the problems with the clears on the border models thing is a little bit, that's disappointing for a kit that costs that much.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say, right?
It is the most expensive kit I've ever purchased that has nothing to do with collector value or anything like that. So yes, I was expecting a level of polish that this doesn't have.
Especially because it's a Wingnut Wings original, like the moldings were originally theirs. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there it is. If you're interested in building a 32 Lanc, and I say that with border, but I have a Hong Kong models Lanc behind me, and it finishes up in a really, really nice build. I mean, there's just nothing wrong with it. It's just that if you're looking for that extra level of detail with distressed skin and perfectly scaled engines and all the tiny little intricate details on the inside that you can sort of kind of see, then the border's one. You can do that with the Lanc if you put another year's worth of work into it. You could make the Lanc, the Hong Kong Lanc look like that, but it's a lot of extra effort.
Who's going to be the first person to kit bash the HK and border models?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But this is one of my Grail kits that I always wanted to do, and when Wingnut Wings was announcing it, I thought patiently, okay, I'm going to wait for this. And then Hong Kong models came out, and boom, there it was on the shelf, ready to buy. And I thought,
for half the cost.
At half the cost, yeah. And I thought to myself, no, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to wait for Wingnut Wings, and then boom, Wingnut Wings disappeared. So,
yeah.
And I still haven't gotten the Hong Kong models. So yeah, again, this is a Grail kit for me, and I will be getting that border one.
Well, I mean, if you do the Hong Kong models and you want an open engine, what I had planned on doing is I went to Edward and purchased a resin Merlin that was supposed to go in the Mosquito.
Yep.
It fits. Like, you just wouldn't put any of the paneling on the top, which is fine. Yep. What that's the point. So you can correct the underscaled Merlins. They look really nice. Like, they're really nicely detailed, well-made Merlins, like 35 parts or something. But it's about 10 or 15% too small. And that's too much for me. I can't handle that. I just start shaking. But the border ones are perfectly scaled. They are the right size. The cowlings and everything are super thin. So if you want to build them up, you can put the cowlings on. They also come with it comes with 4 complete engines and 4 sort of dummies.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like a brick. It almost looks like a Lego brick that has a little peg coming out of it, and they stick the propeller on, and you put the cowlings on, and you hide it, and you never see it. So you have the option of building it with a little Lego brickish engine or the proper full engine.
Yeah, the thing that really sold me on the Wingnut, border, whatever, I'll still call it Wingnut Wings. A was the stress skin, and 2 was the CAD images of the interior, especially the gun turrets.
Yes.
And my father was a navigator, so the navigation station looked a lot better than
Yes.
HK.
Well,
over grid, so.
the navigation station has wood grain on the table. So, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you can't see it, but
I don't care. I'll cut
know.
open the side.
Yeah.
You know, blasphemy, blasphemy. I will cut open the side of the fuselage to show where my father sat.
Yeah, no, it is. It is really on all the little cables from the radio droop down, and it's just it's just gorgeous. The plastic, the gray plastic, you can't beat it. It's just perfection. But it drops the ball with the instructions and the faults with the clear, and the decals are it's been like just trash.
Question: do they say how many parts there is?
Well, let me
Probably
look.
5 digits.
Jesus.
I don't know if it says.
Billions and billions and billions.
Yeah.
Doesn't say.
It's the Carl Sagan kit.
I don't see anything. I don't see anything on the box that says anything about number of parts.
I bet it's Scalemates will have it at some point.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that right now. I cannot see it.
I bet you the reason why it doesn't say the number of parts is because people would get scared away, right? You know.
So I mean, I've already sort of beaten these instructions to death. So outside of the lack of color callouts on these instructions, they do have the sort of the sprue number jungle, except that they don't, because they only have the illustrations of the sprue layout. They don't have the letters of the sprue or the numbers for the parts.
What?
So if you're looking for A23, you don't know which sprue is A, and you can't see number 23.
Oh boy.
Oh, Jesus.
And
what are they taking tips from Micromer? Holy crap.
And I see that is one of the sprue layouts. I mean, I can't see that, and I'm sitting in front of it.
What the heck?
I mean,
Duh.
so I don't know what sprues those are. Well, I can tell. I think one of them is the Canopy Frame sprue. I don't know what the other one is, but yeah. But there's no way if you're looking for.
Careful not getting nose grease on your paper.
Let's pretend that this is frame C. If I'm looking, if the instructions say go find part C25, I'm not going to find it on that little tiny picture.
Oh my God.
So the whole point of these guides, I mean, Tamiya is very good at having these sprue layouts, and Trumpeter even is getting better at it. But Revell does a pretty good job. But this doesn't tell you anything. There's nothing. It's just a picture. There's no useful information there. So,
oh boy.
Yeah.
I think as long as you know what you're getting into, I mean, I think that's, and Bill, I mean, Glenn, that's exactly what you're doing. Like you know what you're getting into with this. So you know what you're, so it's like you're, and David, that's appreciated. I mean, I don't build 30-second scale. And it's making me feel a lot better about building 70-second scale right now. Right? But because I've got like a couple Langcasters in my stash, and they're sitting here, you know, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, how bad can this Airfix Langcaster be then? Right? I mean, but I also get it. I mean, a 30-second scale Langcaster is an impressive piece. It's a big, it's a statement piece. So I would think, and I would hope that it gets like you already have the Hong Kong models, a 30-second scale. So I would hope that the border models goes together relative, other than the, like I said, the clear pieces, like hopefully it goes together reasonably well. You can hopefully replace some parts, etc.
Yeah, from what I've been told, now, I mean, I haven't started this at all, but what I've been told is the fit engineering of the parts rivals Tamiya.
Wow.
So if you've got two parts that are supposed to go together, they go together and they lock. I mean, the people are, from what I'm reading, and of course everything on the internet is true, people are extremely happy with the fit of the plastic parts.
As long as you can find, the two
right parts.
Yeah. Because you got to find them on that little diagram.
Yeah.
So,
Stage one of assembly step number 1 is set aside 4 hours to find the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so I know, I mean, this was definitely this strike. I mean, I've seen enough products rush to market to recognize one, and this is one of those. They were trying to, I get the impression, and if you take into account the controversy around the acquisition of the tooling and everything, I kind of get the impression that they were trying to get this out in the market and sell as many as they could before they were sued into oblivion.
Yep.
And so they dropped the ball on the instructions and the decals, and they rushed the clear parts because they didn't have the clear styrene to the right temperature, and it cooled in the mold, and that's what made the little tiny fine line in the middle of the clear. Like I said, this is not something you can polish away. It's inside the plastic, so it's there.
You'd think after one test run they would have identified that issue, eh?
I don't think they did that. This is not there's not a lot of QA here, so yeah.
And if they were in a rush, they might have seen it and they said, eh.
Yeah, it's a toy airplane, who cares? Yeah. So
We'll do a version 2 later.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my my honest review.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that, David.
Next,
very good.
Where to put it after?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I am redoing my basement to build a proper centerpiece display for this once it's done. So yeah, it will have a proper place to live in the TV, in the man cave. It will be a proper, because that's where all my other builds are. There's a big wall of 32nd scale World War II. And this will have a proper place to live. So yeah.
Excellent.
In 2 or 3 years.
That's something big. I know we unfortunately we lost Mark because we are running long tonight. I mean, it has been a good discussion so far though. I mean, and Mark did have a bunch of stuff from the nationals that he wanted to show. So maybe we'll hold that over till next time. I don't know if Harvey has anything that he wants to add. I haven't let him talk really.
That's okay.
For the most part.
No, you have it well in hand, David. So Mark is gone? Mark left?
Unfortunately, Mark had to leave, right? So because he did have a bunch of photos from the nationals, but
yeah, he can share that next month. But what I can pass on from him, because he was going to mention this, and since he's not, I'll mention it on his behalf. I'm on a lot of their IPMS New York calls, and they're having a special guest come on August the 18th. Once I received the Zoom call details, they asked me to invite all of you guys. And why is it so special? Because if you've read the book Shattered Sword, John Parshall will be there talking about his book, which is Shattered Sword is a book on the Battle of Midway. He's a renowned author. I've read the book. It's one of the only books I've read 3 times from back to back. And if you're an aficionado of the Battle of Midway, it's a must read. It's not just a historical book. about what happened, but he goes into personal accounts of what it was like on the Japanese carriers when they got hit, on the American carriers, the aviators. It's a fascinating book. So I think Mark was probably going to mention it, but they did send the invite. And once I get the Zoom calls, they're happy to extend it to our members for that special event, which will be August the 18th, I believe, in the evening. They start their Zoom meetings about the same time as us. So that's the only thing I can add from Mark's vantage. Okay.
18.
I believe it's August the 18th. Yeah, I'll send, when they send me the link, I'll get David, maybe you can cascade it to the members.
Sure. Yeah.
And anybody on this call is welcome to attend. Anybody's welcome to attend that
Yes.
session. So
Please send it out Ottawa's way, and I'll send that out to our membership as well.
Sounds
We'll do,
great,
Glenn.
Glenn.
We'll do.
Now,
do.
if we're talking about, David just showed his link. I might as well just quickly show what I've got that's big. Fine scale.
Hold on.
Hold on, man. We are recording.
Okay, I'm going to show you a real big model. You guys got to dig your mind out of the gutter. Hold on, let me get it. Okay, it's right here. Bear with me.
1/44 scale.
Nice PJs.
Thanks. For you guys, I dress up.
What the?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, what the heck? This is the 200th, or is this the?
I don't have a big house, like freaking. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the Yamato. Yeah. That's the one. That's the
1/200.
It's 1/200.
Holy crap.
It's by MRC Gallery. I'm not going to do a long review. It's by MRC Gallery Models, which is essentially Trumpeter.
Yeah.
And I guess like David's review of the Lank, this model is huge. It's also around $1,000. I think you can probably get it around $700-800 US. And it's, I believe, in terms of length of kit, it's the largest injection kit to date. It's about 4 feet and change. And there's about it comes with 15 frets of photo etch and 2,800 parts.
Even longer than the 48 scale U-boat?
Oh, that's a good point. I think it might be. At least in terms of photo etch and parts, it's well over 3,000 parts. So it probably takes the record. Now, what I would never honestly build this, not because I don't like the Yamato, but it's too big. And
so Harvey, where is this going? Like, was it a commission build, or is it?
Yeah. So it's not like it's a secret or anything. Fine Scale Modeler called me and said, "Would you like to build a Yamato?" And I said, "Sure, I'll build a Yamato. Would you like to do the 200?" And I initially turned them down, but they said they really wanted me to build it, and so I was reluctant. But after some coercing, Aaron Skinner said, "Harvey, you're the guy to do it." So I said yes. But then I said, I under one condition, that I donate it back to you guys. So it's going back to Fine Scale, and they're gonna build a display case for it at their headquarters in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Nice. But I'm on a deadline for this as well. So
what's the deadline, Harvey?
Well, I said 10 months, but I'm actually trying for, if I can do this, I'm trying for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, because I am so far behind. Like, I'm not bragging, guys, but I'm pretty well doing this for a living now, and I'm behind about 5 articles for editors. So I'm gonna try to get it done in 3 months, and hopefully have this at some show in the fall. I'll probably bring it to Hamilton in February.
Next year.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
But they sent it to me, so it's kind of hard to see, but the hull's done, and I basically got, it's about halfway done now in about a week. I've spent about a week on it. It's about halfway done. It's not for a contest, so I can cut corners, but I'm pretty fast when it comes to building. And so I'm about halfway through. It's massive. The model I can't show you because it's together, but it's got metal brackets in the hull to hold it together. It's a beautiful kit. Unlike problems with the length that David mentioned, I honestly don't see any major problems with this kit so far, except for some deck fit problems at the forend, which a clamp will do. It's actually a very nice model that I'm actually enjoying building. I didn't think I would. But then I also said to Aaron, I don't like building models for reviews, so I got to do something with it. So I'm backdating her to a 1944 refit when she saw action at Leyte Golf.
Are you going to use the Pontex?
Sorry?
Are you going to use the Pontex decks and guns for that?
No, because it's a matter of spending my own money on a model that I'm donating back to Fun Scale.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, Mark left a call, but when I was in NorEastCon, Tim Burke, who's the president there, kindly donated his Nichimo kit to me, which I really need because I'm backdating and I need some of those parts. If you're into battleships, I need some of those guns to backdate her to 1944. For those of you who don't know, the Yamato was actually painted in black with a black deck and some of the superstructures in black. I don't know why no modelers have ever done her in that scheme, but that's the one I'm doing. So she'll have a black deck. It was basically the soot from the funnels that that the crew applied to the decks, and you can see it in the black and white photos. The forward turret was pure black. So then I said, well, if it's going to be that, I'm going to do it. But it's kind of hard to maneuver this damn thing. And
Goth battleship.
So
I like it.
you're not doing the spaceship version of the Yamato.
No, I'm not as much into sci-fi. All I can say is it's a really nice kit, but it's big. It's too big for me. I'm like a 1/700, 1/350, and 72nd aircraft guy for the most part. But it's kind of hard to see, but I've already started, you see, modulating the hull.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
So
saw that.
after about a week, it's about half done. And I just keep, and what's great is it's not for a show, so I can cut corners. It's not going to the Nats. It's not being judged by guys with microscopes. But it'll be good enough for a fairly in-depth article in Fine Scale.
That's going to take a lot of paint.
Yeah. Well, I did get some help on this. Jeff Hearn now runs his own hobby paint line. I think they're called AccuColor. I can't remember. Forgive me. But they're brand new, and they just came out in the States, and he gave me the whole set and more to do Japanese naval vessels. So I'm reviewing the colors for him. I'm sorry I got the name wrong, but they're acrylics. They're new acrylics, and they have the proper Kire Japanese naval colors, and I'm going to be using them on this model and reviewing it as part of the article.
Nice.
Very nice.
I got some help on it.
So at the Nats, the raffle, the grand prize was that kit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you win it, Sergey?
No.
But you can see here.
I didn't buy enough raffle tickets. Wow.
See, I got the forecastle done.
Yeah.
At least at the back. If you guys don't like photo etch, don't buy this kit. It's also etch.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, it's such a big kit with so many parts. Like, it's got to be a centerpiece in a museum type of kit. That's how I look.
I'm hoping that Fine Scale will come through with that case, because I got nowhere to put it in my house, and I'd rather have people look at it somewhere and share the work. But yeah, it's too big for my house.